How are we all? I just thought we kind of very quickly, I could talk you through religion in the Middle Ages. So basically, I've got the PowerPoint here. I'm going to upload the PowerPoint to Edmodo, and you can just listen to this video of me talking through it. So how was the church organised? The leader of the church in Western Europe was the Pope. The church was divided into a diocese, which was managed by a bishop, who was very wealthy. So the bishops were very wealthy, and we've seen that before. The diocese then was split into parishes, and the parishes were run by priests who were quite well educated. So in the book then we saw the Romanesque churches and the Gothic churches. So Romanesque is an architectural style, and it's the early stone churches were made in a Romanesque style. Lots of round arches, okay, and there's going to be pictures on the video. Dark and gloomy inside because there was small windows, and there was usually no spire. So if you can imagine a church, the Romanesque churches usually didn't have spires. The Gothic churches then were kind of later on in the Middle Ages, and they did have spires. They were very pointy spires. They had slim columns, stained glass windows, lots of stone statues, and they often had flying buttresses. And there's going to be a picture of a flying buttress, and that's like on the side of the church. It like helps lift up the church. So, monasteries then, that's the next thing we're looking at, and it's like medieval monasteries is a big part of this course. And basically, the head of a monastery was called an abbot. Okay, so the abbot, A-B-B-O-T, was the head of the monastery. They were like the guy in charge. And there were different orders of monks. So the monks lived in the monastery, they prayed, they worked. Very similar to early Christian Ireland, but there's a few differences with the medieval monasteries. Okay, so there's different orders. There's like the Benedictines and the Poor Clares, and monks and the monasteries were often centres of learning. There was also inns and hospitals. So inns where the travellers could sleep, and hospitals where people could get better if they were sick. And there usually was a wall around it. Okay. So the cloister was the square in the middle where monks walked and prayed. The churches where the monks prayed 7 times a day. The refectories where the monks ate meals. Okay. The monks met in the chapter house where they met to elect the abbot. So the monks in the monastery usually elected the abbot, and they would discuss the business of the monastery there in the chapter house. Monks slept in a large dormitory. Okay, now this is important, because with the early Christian Ireland they slept in a beehive hut, but in the medieval times, the Middle Ages, the monks slept all together in a large dormitory. So that's a different one. Okay, so take note of that one. The monks studied in a library, and there was also a scriptorium attached to the library, and as you all know, that's where they wrote the books, particularly the illuminated manuscripts. Many monasteries had an infirmary. So the infirmary is where sick people were helped, and this was usually at the edge of the monastery. So probably ask yourself, why do you think the infirmary, like the hospital, why was that at the edge of the monastery? It's quite obvious, because they didn't want sick people in the middle of the monastery. They wanted the sick people as far away as they could go. Okay, so poor people and travellers sometimes stayed in the guest house, and this was usually near the entrance. So there's a guest house and a hospital attached to these monasteries. So they're like centres of learning, kind of like universities today. Okay, lots of things going on there. There were big centres of where things happened. So that's kind of the monastery. There's different stages of becoming a monk and their life. That's all in the book, and part of your homework was to write about that. And of course you're going to have to write an essay about this soon enough. But I just thought I'd talk you through one of the monasteries. So that's the very basic religion in the Middle Ages. There's a lot that's the same as the early Christian Ireland, so you know a lot of it already, but there's some little different things. So look over that again, make sure that you know it. Okay. So I hope everyone's doing well at home, and you're all doing well, and you're studying hard. Okay. Because we're gonna have some tests when you get back. Okay. So see ya.